Guys, so welcome back. So what I'm going to do is go over the saw, just do an update on some of the stuff that I got done on it. This thing is working really good. So anyway, let's get right into it. So from the last video, what I got done is, as you can see, I got the laminate on the top and all trimmed out, flush with my rails. This done just a fabulous job, just using I used a spray adhesive, but you could use roll-on, contact cement or anything, but just be really careful lining things up. Make sure you get a nice, I had to make sure I used a little bit bigger piece here, and then I just flush trimmed it with my router. So now the other thing that I did was I added a few pieces to the edges here. This is just a piece of maple is what it is, and I just screwed it through the edge here, and I did the same thing on the front, but I kept this one down, and that the reason being is I wanted it, when I put my sled on, I didn't want to have to notch this out. This will just come out by. The first piece I did try on, I did go to the top, as you can see the screw holes there, but I decided to change it, and I'm really glad I did, because I need a continuous piece run down through here, and the reason being is I want to incorporate a tape measure. You can see on my fence system now I have a flat spot here that's just a little wee bit higher than this piece here, so my tape measure will run along here. Then I'll have a nice clear plastic piece here that I'll be able to adjust to zero in to my saw blade. And these pieces also stiffen this top up so that, you know, I'm not even hooking it down to this little simple bench that it's sitting on. So I thought about trying to do something fancy with this little stand there, guys, but you know what? It turned out that I just ended up buying a couple of 4x4s, and I used 6-inch screws is what I did, screwed this together, and yeah, I thought about trying to make something fancy folding by, you know, but I just don't have time for that crap, guys. This is just simple, it works. If I need to take this apart, I could, just a couple of screws, back them out. And it's just, you know, something 4 feet. It's overall 4 feet by, I think, 2 feet, 32 inches high or something like that, or 33. And it's actually pretty rigid and not bad to move around. Yeah, I'm going to go over a few of these different aspects here. One is how I got it hooked down the table. I'm going to flip this thing over and show you how I got the saw all hooked down. All right, so now what I'm going to do is get ready to put the saw into the jig, and all this is, guys, is just a couple little blocks of hardwood, you can see, with a little notch cut out of them, the right height. That I left it so that this would push down against the saw really good and still leave a little wee bit of a gap, you know what I mean? So, and all I did was just drill a 3/8 hole through this block, and then I actually drilled a little wee bit bigger than 3/8 hole to begin with, and then a 3/8. And then I actually just tightened that bolt down until it pulled into the plywood. And it took a lot of pressure, but it made for a really nice, strong way to do it. And pretty simple too. Just a couple of screws on either side there holding them in place. And I'm not trying to hold a tank in place, guys. It's only this little DeWalt saw. So all I got to do is to get this in place is, I didn't want to have to change this in any way, so all I have to do is simply get this thing so that the fence is lined up, because you guys know that it moves back and forth. Find the little trigger lock here. You can see it moves. We'll just line it up really to the end and then lock it, and then all you got to do is just pop these little clips, and that's going to get rid of the little fence. This thing, you know, guys, this little fence they're a great little saw, but it's only a little short fence, and a little short fence is dangerous for cutting wide stuff. So now I'm going to pass the camera off to my uncle, and I'm going to show you how this thing gets locked into place. So I just simply grab the saw, and I've got to get it pointed in the right direction, obviously. So it just gets set into that groove that I showed you in the first video. It just gets popped into that, and then I just make sure it's popped all the way back. Simply turn these little blocks in place. So now I just got to tighten these little 3/8 bolts out, and I can put a lot of pressure on them, so it's really holding down on this, because I want that saw to go back in the same spot every time. So tighten it down nice and snug. So all I did was cut this slot out a little bit bigger so that I'm able to get at the whole original piece that goes around the blade. So now I can just, you know, I leave that piece in there, just take it out. I'm able to change my blade, lock it back in place, and just leave it there. And then this one just fits around it. So what I did was, in order to level this, all I did was just pre-sink a hole a little bit bigger than the drywall screw, and then I just actually screwed the drywall screw through the rest of the way and just ground it off enough that it made it so that it was in that height range. And now all I had to do was is just to, you know, drive that screw or screw that screw in a little bit, and the further I screwed it in, the further it raised it. And now you can see it's nice and flush. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do now is pretend I need my saw. I'm going to the job site, I need a little saw. I'm going to show you how fast it would be to get this thing on. So it's literally just take a few minutes. I've got it so that I can flop this thing down, flop her up, see these few bolts, flop that sideways, that sideways, that sideways. That. Now the little fence should be right here, right down the table. I see it. So there, that'll pop out of there. I'm just going to set my saw down. My fence literally goes back in like this. Oh, it's got to go this way. Pop in place. I'm ready to go to the job site.